It's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one.
Definitely a different type of process.
Cut down or freeze up.
Being a coach's son.
Jackson, of course, they keep retooling. One stone to face, a hit by pitch. Oh my goodness. Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast. Baseball talk. Illinois style, or as our good buddy over there, Diego Solares, calls it, the good side.
I mean, I'm biased, but it is.
That's okay. That's all right. Today on the show, we're talking some state championships. We got the 1-2 finals done. We're waiting on 3 and 4 this coming weekend. Diego, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Good, fellas. Coming off of our first Scout Connect tournament of the summer, 15U. It was kind of a fun little experience with a bunch of rain that we had roll through the weekend. But we got all the games in, and yeah, kicked off our summer with that. So,
yeah, we experienced some of that. We stood out in the rain, pushing water off the tent, holding the tent down. Trying not to get blown away. It's always a fun time. That's the fun part, right?
That's a word. Fun is a word you could use. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's probably.
I spent the whole week last week basically soaked. So.
Yeah, man. The Wednesday, my one pair of shoes got wet, and they didn't dry out till Saturday. I think it was.
That's why you got to bring an extra pair, Brian. Extra pair of shoes, extra pair of socks, everything.
I did that this time.
Yeah.
So it was a bonus.
Yeah.
Always good to have the extra pair. So there you go. But anyway, state championships 1A. Pretty exciting stuff. Close ball games. The semifinals, what cracks me up, man, they were both blowouts.
Yeah, I mean, kind of hate to say it this way because, Pawnee, Lexington, they made their way to state. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's a great accomplishment, but in a way to be expected. We touched on this show, Ottawa, Marquette, and Father McGivney were kind of in a class of their own in 1A, and obviously that proved Ottawa Marquette won their game 16-1 in a short game fashion. Father McGivney won their game 16-1 in a short game fashion, and you kind of had the rare case where the two best teams in a certain classification end up matching up in the state championship game. So
pretty impressive, isn't it? And not to mention that it was 6-5 win for Ottawa Marquette. Did you see that? Did you think they would beat them?
Well, they won it last year, so I mean it's tough to count out the reigning state champions. They also brought back a large majority of their roster from last year's group, including some pretty important pieces on the mound. Alec Novotny, who started the third place game but only threw 27 pitches, so he came back and bounced back and was really good out of the bullpen for Ottawa Marquette. They started a sophomore, Griffin Dauberstein, who's a talented young arm. It kind of had a quick trigger. McGivney jumped on him early. They put Novotny in, and he, kind of cruised through that lineup. It was actually closer than 6-5 would indicate because Ottawa Marquette won on a walk-off, a backside single from Sam Mitre, who was a senior going to Parkland. So I was a little bit surprised, not to take anything away from Marquette. I just thought McGivney was the more talented team, but I think there is something to be said with a group of players in Ottawa Marquette that have been there before, right? Like they won the state championship last year. It's a program that has been to state several times in the last decade or so. Honestly, in the last 5 years, they've been, I think, 3 times, including 2 championships. So Not surprised. I guess a little surprised, but also obviously going into the game, if you would have told me Ottawa Marquette won, I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. So tough, tough blow for Father McGivney, man. Like, this is their last year in 1A. They're going up to 2A next year, I think, for good, unless their enrollment drops down below what that marker is. They had a very good, deep, and talented senior class. Like their shortstop was a senior, their second baseman was a senior, their third baseman was a senior. Cannon Camp, who was their second baseman, was their best arm. He was a senior. Chase Kelly, Dane Keevan, Evan Kuntz, like they're gonna lose a lot from this year's team. Now, they're not your typical 1A team. Like they have a lot of talent behind it. They got some good sophomores. Jack Rolves, Jacoby Danko, Aiden Willis that are going to be asked to step up next year. And they have several juniors that played key roles. Ben Sink, who started the super sectional game for them. And Isaac Wendler, who was he was out. He was injured, so he didn't play in the state playoffs. But he was kind of their de facto number 2 arm, and also their first baseman, and also their 5-hole hitter. Omar Avalos was a sophomore, hit out of the 2-hole for them. Scott Phelps, they're a guy who went into the season as an infield outfield type, and they kind of turned to him and said, "Hey man, like we need you to catch." He'd never caught before, and he was their starting catcher the whole season. Ty Etchison, a guy who for his summer team plays up the middle, second base, shortstop, playing second base, playing first base because of an injury. Like they got a good chunk of dudes coming back, but they're going to go up to 2A. We touched on this show in previous weeks. The 2A, the sectional to get out of in 2A is maybe the hardest in the whole state. You have Teutopolis, you got St. Anthony, you've got Columbia, you've got Breeze Central. Given where they're located, I would think Father McGivney is going to be in that sectional. So now you go from 1A against playing against a competition level that is not where you're at, to playing against some of the best 2A programs in the state. It's tough. So we'll see what they have next year, but this, in my opinion, this was the closest that they had a chance in the last couple of years to win the state championship, and to fall in walk-off fashion nonetheless is tough.
Yeah. So will Marquette go up as well to Class 2?
I don't think so.
So what is it?
Is
It still just a matter of enrollment?
Well, to be honest with you, like I'm not 100% sure, because Joliet Catholic a couple years ago, they won back-to-back 2A state titles, and then they went up to 3A. So maybe Ottawa Marquette will bump up to 2A. I'm not sure. I would think with them being a private school, there has to be some level of championship factor, but I'm not 100% certain. If not, you go ahead and pencil them in. They'll be the favorites next year too, because they're going to bring back a good chunk of that team. So
that's what I was going to say. Who's in that? Who's going to challenge these guys? Who is there in Class 1 to challenge these teams?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple, like Harvest Christian up in Chicago, the Chicago Elgin area. They're always really talented. They were pretty senior heavy this year, but they've got a couple juniors that will be seniors next year, playing a big role. Route Catholic, who took Father McGivney to extra innings in the super sectional. They went to state last year. It's a private school out in Jacksonville. They're always fairly competitive. But to be honest, with the 1A schools, it's really kind of a toss up, because of the public schools, and they're 1A, so they're pulling from a smaller population, and 1 year one team might have X amount of seniors and they're really good, but the next year all those guys graduate and they're below 500. Yeah. So it's just tough when you don't have that much to choose from. So we'll see. I mean, if Ottawa Marquette goes up to 2A, then we're going to have a new state champion, and it'll be someone. And, like a couple of years ago, I remember North Clay in 2022, they won the state title. They steamrolled everybody on their way to the state championship. They had like 11 seniors. I think their whole starting lineup, but one guy was a senior. The next year, they were fairly down. So who knows?
There you go. We'll see. We will see.
We will see.
2A was it, definitely two teams that you had in your rankings all season, facing off in the state championship game. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, I wasn't there. Seth Impson was covering the game for us. He's kind of like my right-hand man with Scout Connect because I was running that 15U tournament where it rained the whole weekend. But Sacred Heart-Griffin and Teutopolis.
You're not
matching up in the state
salty about
championship
that,
game.
are you?
I might still be wet, to be honest with you.
Sorry.
I mean, kind of a cool, I guess, experience where the state championship game 1A and 2A, which is played on the same day, both of them were walk-off winners. What Seth told me was that this was a very I don't know if sloppy is the right word, but it was raining basically the entire game. So it was kind of a wet ball on turf, kind of an uglier, not the sharpest game between SHG and T-Town. But Trenton Lauterbach, a senior for Sacred Heart Griffin, hit a walk-off single through the left side of the infield to win the game for them and capture the 2A state championship against T-Town, a 5-4 game. I mean, not really much you can ask there. I know Teutopolis, so they started Davin Werman in the state semifinals, who's kind of been their number 2 all year. But their number 1, Austin Bories, who's a junior going to Lindenwood, is on the shelf right now. So they didn't throw their best guy in the state championship game. They threw Gavin Addis, who's a junior, who's very good. Like, he's a talented, low 80s arm, can spin a breaking ball, strike thrower, fills up the strike zone. But they didn't have their guy going, and the game was still relatively close. So I mean, credit to SHG, man. Like, they were a team that I'm pretty sure we had them at number 3. I think we had SHG at number 3 in the preseason and Teutopolis at number 5. I think I had St. Anthony at 2 and Pleasant Plains at 4, if I remember correctly, with Father McGivney being number 1. And they came out the gates hot. Like, they came out, they were kind of rolling on teams, and then they hit a rough patch. Like, there was a stretch there where they lost like 4 or 5 games in a row, and bounced back from it, turned around, went on a run, had some pretty crazy games. Like, all their games were tight. The super sectional game, they won 4-3 over Monticello. Their state semifinal game against Eureka, they were down by 3 runs going into the last inning, came back and won 6-5, and then they win the state championship 5-4 in walk-off fashion. So, pretty impressive.
I'm just sad that the wooden shoes didn't get it done. I don't know. I have no idea about Teutopolis other than they have wooden shoes. They must have been wearing their wooden shoes in that last inning.
I will tell you this. They, as the lights turn off on me here, hold on, motion activated here at the Sports Barn facility. I will tell you this. I heard that the atmosphere at that game was pretty unbelievable. I heard that basically the entire city of Teutopolis was at the game. So good for them. It's a really small town. They don't have a football team, which is not something normal for small towns in Illinois. So they love baseball and they love basketball. Like, I went to watch them play in a sectional semi against Breese Central, and it was shoulder to shoulder. You really couldn't move. And honestly, they had some pretty crazy games to get here too. Like, they beat St. Anthony in the sectional championship on a walk-off. I think they were down 5. They were down 4-2 going into the last inning, if I remember correctly, and scored 3 to win it. They went into the last inning of their super sectional down 5-3 against DuQuoin, walked them off, scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 7th. So they had a great run. I mean, obviously it didn't end how they wanted it to, but can't take anything away from it.
Absolutely. This weekend coming up, it's 3A, it's 4A, semifinals on Friday, championship day on Saturday. in the first bracket, this would be, I guess, the Super 16. You got Burbank taking on Triad, team you've talked about a lot with Triad. Do you think they're the favorite here?
Favorite is tough because St. Lawrence, that's Burbank, that's what it's called. It's in Burbank. Is a program that's always really good. It's a private school up in the Chicagoland area. Pete Lotus, their head coach, they've had several very good players come through there, and they were the one seed in their regional or in their sectional. Sorry, they got out of it. So I mean, I don't really know if anybody's a favorite, but Triad's really good. They beat Mascoutah in the sectional championship 2-1 on a walk off by Keegan Sipe in an extra inning 9-inning win against Mascoutah, which is their rival. And then they turn around and they beat Champaign Central yesterday 10-0 in the super sectional. So like they'll be ready. They can win games. I think one of the reasons why everyone in this area has been fairly high on Triad the whole spring is because they can win games in different ways. They can beat you on the mound where all it takes is 2 to 3 runs for them to win, or they can turn around and put up a 10 spot in 5 innings and win that way. So we'll see. Like, I think a few things I do know about St. Lawrence is their two best arms are left-handers. Jimmy Benson and Samuel Chin are their two kind of the guys they've been relying on here. Also, John Strakowski, who's a right-hander, but I would think Jimmy Benson will get the start here in the state semifinal for them. He's only a sophomore, but he's like 6'8", and is like a kind of an uncomfortable three-quarter slot, can really pitch 3 pitches for strikes. I think that gives them an advantage because, 4 of the top 5 hitters in the Triad lineup are left-handed, which obviously left on left is tougher to hit than right on left or left on right. So we'll see how that plays into that whole equation. But I mean, Triad getting here, man, like they are the only team from this area to make it to state, with Edwardsville and O'Fallon both going down. So hopefully they can bring it back.
We met a lot of kids that will be going to Triad High School at our 14U tournament a couple weeks ago, a couple weekends ago now. It's all blurry.
Yeah.
But and that's the thing, you see some of these kids. That's that was the cool thing about we talked to a lot of these kids going to be playing at O'Fallon, Edwardsville, Triad, right there. I think it was the Troy Thunder team that we were talking about.
Most of those kids will go to Triad. Yeah. It's St. Jacob area.
So it was interesting to see, and asking a lot of these kids, "Hey, you been to the ball games?" "Oh yeah, they checking it out." So that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a program to be on, and Jesse Bugger, the head coach, has been there for some time. But that's a program that has incrementally put itself right up there with Edwardsville in terms of the talent, the success they've had, but also like kind of the culture to captivate the community and all that. Like if you go out to some games, like you're going to see a lot of little kids there wearing Triad hats and taking in the game and watching it, and that's what you get at Edwardsville too. I will say too with Triad, they're like, to me, this is their shot. Like if obviously they're at state, but like to take home a state championship, they kind of have a perfect recipe to do so. They're old on the mound. All of their best guys are juniors or seniors on the mound. They're old offensively. They're old in key spots defensively. Their catcher's a senior. Their shortstop's a senior. Their center fielder is a senior. And on top of all that, not only are they seniors, but they're guys that have started for multiple years, so they have the experience to do it. With that being said, though, like they got some legit young guys coming up. Like I saw a kid this weekend at our 15U tournament, Nolan Miller, who I think's got a chance to be kind of the next guy in this area. Quinn Droy, another one, his older brother, Owen Droy, was on Triad a couple years ago when they made a run to, I believe, the sectional championship. And they've got some young guys waiting in the wings, not to mention like Nolan Keller, who's been one of their best guys on the mound this spring. He's a junior. Both of the Sipe brothers, Keegan and Cannon Sipe, are playing every single day for them. Braxton Yates is playing every single day for them. He's a junior. Augie Bugger is a left-handed hitting outfielder who I really like, who's a sophomore. So I think if they're going to take it home, this will be the year, but also like there's a lot to come behind them.
Who do you think they'll face in the championship game if Triad gets past Burbank?
I'll take Cary Grove. I'm biased because Cary Grove is in the Fox Valley Conference. That's where I played when I was in high school. I think the bias is warranted because the Fox Valley has produced, I think, a team in state like 5 of the last 6 years. Cary Grove is going this year. Crystal Lake Central won the 3A state championship last year. Prairie Ridge made a run a couple years ago. We went to state my senior year. The year before us, Crystal Lake South won the state championship. Hampshire went the year after I graduated high school. So like several different teams from the same conference typically make a run to state. They have a big arm in Charlie Tazzy, who I really like. I haven't seen him in a while, but he's a longer, lanky senior that throws from here, fills up the strike zone, and can spin a breaking ball. So I'll take them. I don't know much about Bennett Academy, to be honest with you. So we'll see how that plays out. But if Triad gets past St. Lawrence, I would expect them to see Cary Grove. Of these 4 teams, what I do know about them, I do think Triad is the best of the bunch, though.
Oh, we're going to find out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
O'Fallon finally gets past Edwardsville here. And sometimes I wonder, though, if you're on such that emotional high. They came back and they lost to Normal High School, or it's Community High School in Normal, Illinois, correct?
It's Normal Community, yeah.
Normal Community. Yeah. Well, it's a pretty normal community, it's normal. Get it? Pun intended. But 10-8, do you think it was like that?
No, I think it was a case of Connor Blue pitched maybe the best game he's ever thrown. In his high school career, he went at 6 2/3 innings, struck out 13 guys.
Wow.
They scored a run early on a defensive blunder, and then Anthony Perez, a junior outfielder for them, hit a ball back up the middle for a single to put them up 2-1 late in the game. To be honest with you, like after Connor Blue, O'Fallon was a little thin on the mound. And I think that kind of played out in the 10-8 ball game in the sectional championship. They started a freshman, Will Vanderheiden, who had a great year. Like he beat Edwardsville during the regular season. He beat Belleville East in the playoff in the regional championship. So he had a strong season, but a freshman against kind of an older lineup, struggling a little bit. And then they had some injuries. On the pitching staff at O'Fallon, they kind of hampered the depth that they had. And I think a lot of guys were just kind of fatiguing towards the end of the spring too, as tends to happen, right? You play 35 games or whatever. These are 16, 17, and 18-year-olds. They tend to get tired, which is normal. I don't think it was anything like that. I just think they weren't as equipped as a team like Edwardsville to go on and make a run on the mound. And they earned that win. Like Connor Blue threw the ball really well. I heard he was nothing. He was absolutely dominant. He punched out 13 guys against one of the best lineups in the area. And they beat Edwardsville, something they haven't done in the playoffs in like 5 or 6 years.
So in the finals, Final Four, you got Libertyville taking on Normal Community, McHenry, and Brother Rice. Do you want to see my shock face?
Shout out to the Fox Valley because I forgot about McHenry. They are also in the Fox Valley Conference. So McHenry and Cary Grove representing the best conference in the state semifinals. Brother Rice is a program that has been there. They lost in the state championship to Edwardsville in 2022. I think they're kind of the de facto number 1 team in Illinois this spring. I think they lost like 2 or 3 games the whole season. They're very good. Like Gavin Triesenberg, shortstop, going to Arizona. Jackson Metanik, second baseman, and also an arm for them, going to Illinois State. Brady Cunningham, who's a big physical sophomore third baseman, right-handed pitcher, doing it on both sides of the ball for them. Like, that's a really good team. To be honest with you, McHenry's also really good. Brandon Shannon is their number one guy. He's going to Louisville. I would say he will be a top 3 to 4 round draft pick in July when the MLB draft rolls around. Every bit of low to mid 90s with a hammer breaking ball and a good splitter too. That's who they're going to throw game one, I would guess. So that game will be incredible. And McHenry also has Caden Wozniewski, who's one of the better sophomores in the state. A true two-way guy. Like, he can really swing it, but also, I mean, upper 8s to low 9s on the mound, strike thrower, competitive, not afraid of anything. So if they were to win, they will also have an ace going in the state championship game. And then waiting for them on the other side is Libertyville and Normal Community. Libertyville, a team that has oozed talent. Like, they have so many good players on that roster. Quinn Shambo, a catcher, probably the best catcher in the state, going to Oklahoma State to play baseball. He's also like a legit quarterback and can pitch too. They've got Brady Bunick, who's one of the better sophomores in the state. They got Josh Holst, who's a left-hander going to Air Force. Ryan Wilberding, a catcher, another catcher for them. And they're going to match up against Normal Community, who's got Gavin Schwartz, who's going to throw game one. He's a junior going to Indiana. They've got Max Heineman and Drew Stevens, two catchers. Max is going to Illinois, Chicago, and Drew's going to Valparaiso. And they've got some arms behind them too. Jonah Roper, Landon Corbin. Like, these are 4 really good teams. I don't think there's any surprises whatsoever. I mean, I know that I don't do any rankings or anything for all of the schools above our area, but these are 4 teams that are the cream of the crop in 4A, and they're here playing for a state championship.
So you can pretty much just toss a coin and pick a team.
Yeah, I mean, I think all four of these teams are deserving state champions, and not just because they got here, but like preseason deserving. Like, yeah, these guys can win a state title.
Cool beans. Are you going to be up there this weekend?
I'm not. We have a 17U tournament that starts on Friday and runs throughout the whole weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So I will not be up there. To be honest, like, Triad being the only team from our area, and we've seen them and covered them quite extensively this spring. I hope they win. I hope they bring it back. I will definitely be rooting for them. But I will not be up there.
Okay. All right. There you go. Well, there you go, folks. Straight from the connection, the Scout Connect mouth. There it is. I don't know. That didn't work at all. I was trying to be clever, and it didn't work out.
At least you tried.
That was pretty ugly, man. That was pretty ugly. Oh, my goodness. Diego, tell people where they can follow you, buddy.
We're on Twitter at Scout Connect BB. Same on Instagram. We got our big summer event tomorrow over at SIUE. We'll have 54 uncommitted sophomores and juniors from Illinois and Missouri making their way out to SIUE. It'll be a showcase for the position guys, and then they'll play a doubleheader. The pitchers will throw to the hitters, obviously, in an actual game setting. So I'm looking forward to that. It should be an awesome day. A lot of really talented players on that roster from both sides, to be honest. A lot of names that I'm sure you guys are familiar with, and it should be a good one.
Very good. Very good. Shout out to the Sports Barn over there. Boom. Wood River, Illinois. Go check it out.
We got a kids camp going on right now. I don't know if you can hear it in the background.
I thought I heard smaller voices.
Yeah. They got a kids summer camp going on. So
cool beans, man. I love that. It starts off quick, right? There you go.
Oh yeah.
That's a nice facility over there, folks. That's a nice facility over there. If you're in the Wood River, Roxana, Troy, whatever, am I missing something there?
Yeah, Alton, Granite City.
Yeah. Go check it out.
All over.
It's a big, nice facility. There you go. Yep. Diego, thanks for dropping knowledge, buddy.
You got it, fellas. Appreciate you guys having me.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Please, if you like what we're doing, hit the like button, share it out with your friends. We appreciate that. Subscribe. That's the way you can support the channel. Hit the dinger next to it. Notifications for upcoming episodes just like this. We appreciate you tuning in. Everybody have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers. Diego was a pitcher. He knows what to do.
Throw more strikes than I did. That's for sure. Throw more strikes than I did. Struggle at times.
All you hitters, hit them where they ain't. We'll see y'all next time.